How I Got Successful podcast, where we delve into the journeys of accomplished professionals and explore the strategies that have led to their success. I'm your host, Priyanka, and today we have a very special guest with us, Rocco Bova, a renowned hospitality expert with a wealth of experience in hotel consulting, luxury hospitality, and international management. So let's welcome Rocco Bova. Welcome, Rocco Bova. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Very good, Priyanka. Thank you for the hospitality. Thank you for inviting me as well to your podcast today.
Let's jump right into it, shall we?
Absolutely.
Our listeners are eager to learn from your expertise. What initially sparked your interest in the hospitality industry? And how did you pursue your passion to become a hospitality expert?
Well, I was 13 years old, so we're talking about 40 years ago, when I started my first job. During summertime, I'm from Italy originally, and during summertime in my hometown, all kids, they all go to do some kind of work, not to waste their time and on the street and do nothing, So my mom, she told me, why don't you go and find some work? That's not considered child labor, by the way. It's just normal for young people to go and work and earn pocket money. And so I did. I asked one little bar that was there by the sea, and the owner told me, "Okay, Rocco, tomorrow you come at this time and you start to work." So my first job lasted only 3 days because I was breaking so many things and I was doing so much damage because I was not able to hold the tray. I was not able to use machinery. The first time job. So the owner on the third day he called me and said to me, "Rocco, come here." He opened the cash till and he told me, "How many days did you work?" I told him 3 days. So he take three banknotes of the currency that I was going to be paid, and he paid me my 3 days full.
Wow.
He said to me, this is your 3 days of work, but you don't know much yet. I think you need to learn some stuff before, and when you're ready, you come back. So he told me, first of all, you need to know how to hold a tray with glass or bottles. That's the first thing you need to learn. So I was a little bit sad. I went back home a little bit sad, but thinking, this is so simple. I should be able to do it. I should learn and do it. And so I did. I went back home, and during the winter, I started to train myself at home, with a tray and bottles and glasses and stuff. And slowly, day by day, I started to learn how to hold it. The next summer, I was 14. I looked for a new job, and I got the opportunity. I worked for 1 month. The following summer, I worked for 2 months, and so on and so forth. So I think I was naturally gifted, with the sense of friendliness and service for others. It was natural for me to serve other people. And the skills were there, so I could hold the tray, I could take an order, I could smile, I could do the service nicely, and my reputation became very quickly because I live in a small village. I was born in a very tiny village in the south of Italy, and so people start to call me, "Hey, Rocco, next summer you come and work for me," and that became a kind of okay, this is cool. You can earn money, you can do a cool job. At the beginning, it was only for the money, really. I didn't really think about a career. But then eventually, over time, I started to fall in love with the industry, and then I said, okay, I think this is my direction. The story is a little bit longer, we might need more time, but in a nutshell, this is how I got in love with the industry, and day by day, I educate myself. I spend 1 or 2 hours learning something new, and maybe another 1 or 2 hours sharing, what I know with the people that follow me as well.
That's a really amazing story. As from childhood, you got something, and then you started working on it for money, and eventually it became your passion.
Yeah, very few people, I think, they are born with a passion. Very few. These are the kind of genius of the world, that they do exist. I was not born with it, but I know I can become one. It's just a matter of, finding your personal vocation, and then once you find it, you go for it, and the world is your oyster, really.
Yeah. So as a hotel consultant, what are some key challenges you have faced in the industry, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I worked for about 30 years, in operation, basically. That was my livelihood, basically, that, took me in 11 countries around the world, in Asia, Middle East, Africa, India, as I said earlier. And now I am on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean in the Americas. To be honest with you, I never thought I would become a consultant so young. I'm about to turn 53 at the end of this year. And yes, I did have this plan for later in life, maybe when I retire. But some circumstances, let's say, forced me to get into consultancy a little bit earlier. I will not lie to you that the difficulty to find a full-time job, it's been difficult even for me, even if I have the experience. So my wife, she told me, why don't you get as a consultant? You know a lot of people, you have a lot of knowledge, try it. And so I spoke to a couple of people, and then by magic, clients start to come, So last year I closed with 48 clients in a year. In my first year of consulting, it's a lot.
It's kind of boom.
Even I could not believe. This year I will easily close to 20, maybe not as good as the first year, but that's okay. That's fine. 20 clients is okay in a year. And let's see. So the challenge is to be a consultant is first is to find the right client. I don't work with any client. I don't like to just consult for the sake of consulting. I need to find the right person who understands the value that I can bring. And that's not very easy. Because also I'm expensive. I think in general consultants are expensive. I think in Mexico, I believe I am above the majority of the consultant, because obviously a lot of people, they prefer to do longer term consultancy for low money so that they can last longer. For me, it's the complete opposite. I give you everything that you want in 3 days, 4 days maximum, but I charge more instead of charging less. So I have a different strategy, and then of course not everybody accept that or understand that. But many did, that's the proof of last year and the proof of this year. So the challenge is, number one is probably this one, finding the right client. The challenge number two is to work alone. When you are used to work in a team, leading people, having customers, always being surrounded by a lot of people, and suddenly you are just yourself. That's where it becomes a bit complicated, a bit lonely, literally. It is lonely. But it is what it is, you have to accept also, the plus and minus. And the third, but not the last, is taking responsibility of your own actions or recommendation in this case. So as a consultant, you recommend a lot of things, you prepare, thick reports, you provide a lot of resources to your clients, but guess what? 9 out of 10, they don't even bother to look or to implement what I tell them to implement. So it is frustrating, to do so much work, to put so much of your passion and knowledge and share it, to then realize that they don't make use of it. So it's a bit frustrating, from that point of view. But again, that's the the plus and minus of being, for example, the beautiful life that I conduct now, I can wake up whenever I want. I can have a much better social life, Nowadays, for example, the past year and a half, I've been having breakfast with so many friends that I haven't seen for years. I can make a calls like this one, for example, at this time, because normally at this time I should be ready to get to work, get in the car and get to the workplace. I can do now so many things that I would even dream about. I can spend more time with my wife, and my kids are already out of the house anyway. But at least I can spend some more time with my wife. The weekend are off. I never had a weekend off. I have a lot of more time on my side than ever before. It's a bit boring because obviously you need to get used to. But there is no perfect life. Let's be honest. You need to make with what you have, make the best of it with what you have.
Yeah, I can understand your point. And as you said, I'm also learning from you. The point you mentioned that you are expensive, that you are charging more money for 3 days. And most of the consultants who are there, they are charging less for the longer terms. So that's a great approach to do that. And that's what makes you different than others in the entire industry.
But you see also, Priyanka, if I can add something else, I'm not a 9 to 5 consultant. I don't start at 9 o'clock and I stop at 5. You pay me for 24 hours. If the client can handle me for 24 hours, because I can work 24 hours, no problem. I can do that. I've done it many times. And if in some occasion, actually, I work with some of my clients for more than 12 hours. They ask me to stop. I could continue, I can tell them more and more, no problem. I can be non-stop because there is a lot of knowledge.
It's their capacity to absorb how much they can absorb.
Exactly. It's up to the client. I don't work per hour. I work per day. You pay me for my day. So you can take use of my time for the 24 hours.
That's great. As luxury hospitality requires attention to detail and exceptional service, so could you share some insights on how you have successfully managed and maintained high standard in the luxury sector?
There are a couple of companies that I can mention that they don't follow the standard, let's call it, or international standard. And that's where actually when I applied them in other company, in other project that I worked, I was engaged, I can see the relevance of it. Company number one is Aman Resort. Aman Resort is a company that has about 40 years of history. Adrian Zeka, his founder, is an icon. The guy is 90 years old and still work today. He's no longer the owner of and the chairman and chief executive officer behind Aman Resort. Now he's changed ownership. But at the age of 85, he created a new brand. So imagine the individual. And till date, he still works, still travels probably 200, 250 days of the year, travels around the world. It's a person that a lot of us hoteliers admire because, there are not many people like him. But one thing I learned one of the many things that I learned from Aman Resort is to treat customers like a normal person, regardless of their status, regardless of how much money they have, because obviously, customers that they can travel in a luxury hotel, generally they have more money than most, But the one thing I learned from them is to treat them like family, like normal people. Because these people, these travelers, these customers, they conduct a life, high life, every day. They are under the spotlight, they have the paparazzi behind their door, They need to go through interviews on newspaper or maybe even TV, public TVs. So they're always under so much stress and so much pressure. Not so much the stress, but the pressure that creates eventually stress. And, I learned from them that when they come, they're just people. They're just normal people. And we call them by name. We don't call them Mr. and Mrs. by name. Their status become same as mine. Same. And they become immediately no less. They don't become less, but they become human. So when you treat a person like a human being, I think this is the highest level of luxury one person can experience. Be treated like a human being, no matter who you are. And this applies not just for clients, but also for team members. It doesn't matter that I am a general manager, I should treat my team member like a human being first. If I treat you like a human being, I gain your trust, your respect, loyalty, you name it, friendship. I've got friends that I worked with them 25, 30 years ago, and we're still friends. Because I learned from my parents to treat people normally, to treat people like human beings, respect people first, and then you can start to earn their respect and trust.
Such a great definition of luxury. With your international hospitality experience, what are some cultural nuances or global trends that have influenced your approach to managing hotels and delivering exceptional guest experiences?
I think, in different countries that I worked, and after, being more mature now, Priyanka, the one thing I learned, and that's I guess applies everywhere in the world. It doesn't matter which country you were born or what culture you come from and religion, sexual orientation or whatever, but it's human values. If you are able to respect the basic human values which are international, which are global, every person in the world, no matter the religion, culture, country, and so on and so forth, the human values do not change. Reflect a little bit, my earlier conversation of treating people like human beings. Respecting human values, you will be accepted in any country or culture immediately. And that can help you obviously become accepted. Because when you become accepted by the people that surround you, it's a lot easier to work as a team. So much easier. You can do so many things a lot faster. Suddenly, and this is the truth, is that suddenly we do not respect the human values at the beginning. We think that we are so experienced, we worked in so many countries that we know better than everybody else. And this applies even if I work in my own country. I'm from Italy. If I go back to Italy with this kind of attitude, even the Italian will tell me, Rocco, who are you? Get out of here, go back where you came from. So human values, and these are global. There is no restriction of where and what.
Yeah, human values are at the top. As a general manager in the luxury travel industry, what advice would you give to aspiring professionals looking to build a successful career in hospitality, particularly in the luxury segment?
What advice would I give, Priyanka? The first advice is that if you do what you love, you will never work for a day. So this is not my sentence. I did not invent this sentence. I don't remember who said it, but whoever said it, it was great. So find your calling. The moment you find your calling, then you know exactly what to do. You can excel in anything as long as this is your calling and vocation. I never worked a day in my life. Never. I have so much fun and enjoyment when I work, consider it work, that I can, this is why most of my clients, they cannot handle me because I can keep talking, 12, 14, 16, 18 hours. You know, okay, Rocco, enough. Stop. So I found my calling. That's why I never work, and that's why I never get tired. The second advice is that I think that being humble really helps you to get through your career eventually. Maybe not necessarily faster, but it will get you where exactly you want. And will make you earn the respect of people genuinely. They don't respect you because you are the boss. They respect you because you treat them like human beings. So being humble, I think, is very important. And sadly, also, I feel, and I saw even in my own skin, so many leaders that the least that they are is humility, very little humbleness, So I think that being humble is extremely important for a person to be able to pursue dreams and gain loyalty from other people. And beside loyalty is actually trust, because at the base of any relationship is trust. So if you're not able to build that trust with other people, definitely you won't be able to continue further. Or you can, but at what price? Someone else will pay the price. Maybe not you. You say, no, I gain. But someone else has lost something because you wanted to gain. Instead of finding a win-win situation where everyone can earn. And the last, not the least probably, but the last I would say that invest time in learning every day until the last day of your life. I remember a couple of years ago, it was during the pandemic, as a matter of fact, and a young student approached me from a very esteemed hotel school. He told me, Rocco, I want to be a consultant. And the guy was only 21 years old. And I said to him, it took me about 30 years to become a consultant, and still I feel I'm not prepared. So what makes you ready you at 21 to be a consultant? Oh, I worked here, I worked there, I travel a lot, I observe, I said, listen, you can be a consultant if you want, and I wish you all the best. I really hope that you can achieve what you want today to be a consultant. But, I think you can only bring so much to the table. How much resources and knowledge you have acquired in 3 years of life, from 18 to 21, and what kind of knowledge and resources I have acquired in 30 years of life. I cannot teach you everything that I know in 3 years. It took me 30 years to learn it. So, I understand that the change of generation, of course, and, I'm 53, this year I'll be 53, and I know that the Generation Z, the millennials and whoever comes, in that kind of bracket, they require efficiency, and time for them is extremely important because one believes that, even now, recently, ChatGPT was born. So, one can talk to this, artificial intelligence, say, hey, tell me this. Okay, ChatGPT probably can have access to a lot of information. But ChatGPT will never, ever, at least until now, be able to analyze the right information and provide the right knowledge like a human, for now at least. Maybe one day we will get there. And I'm sure with the technology, I'm sure that almost everything is possible. But today is not possible yet. So my advice to young hoteliers would be to take your time. Take your time. Take your time, because you will be able to achieve what you want to achieve at the right time. So think faster will not get you faster where you want to get. I have a son, he's 20 years old, okay? He told me, Dad, at 35, I want to retire. I say, son, good for you. I hope you will make it. If you become a millionaire by that time, remember I'm your father. And then I told them something. When I was 30 years old, I said to myself that by the age of 40, I want to be a general manager. And by the age of 40, when I became 40, I was not a general manager yet. It took me a few more years to become a general manager. And when I became a general manager, I failed. The first time. Like everybody. I would like to challenge anyone who tells me that the first time GM was the best GM job they have ever done. Because it's the first time, Every first time people fail. Except the genius, this is 0.1% of people that they are genius and they make it the first time. I'm not a genius, as you can easily understand. But I'm proud not to be a genius. Because genius, they never sleep, they work too much, and very often they die young and not very happy. So not every one of them, but the majority of them I've seen historically, that's what happens, because their brain, they just continuously work, they are always thinking. And okay, that's the genius life, So when I became a GM for the first time and I failed, I was not very happy, obviously, but it was a great learning curve. The second time I was a GM, it was so much better. The third time I was a GM, I could now say, now I speak. So I now had the influence to say, wait a minute, let me do my job. Because you can be a general manager, for example, in any hotel. Doesn't matter luxury or not luxury. Doesn't matter if you are a yes man. If you are a yes man, so easy to become a GM. Because somebody else will tell you what to do anyway. So you don't have to think too much. You just need to execute orders from somebody else. I'm not that kind of person. Never been in my life, even when I was much younger and much more junior in my career. And that's probably why it took me longer to become general manager, because I'm not a yes man. So it's easy to become a senior leader or senior manager if you say yes to everything. I didn't, and I will continue not to do so, because I think that I have my own opinion and people should respect my own opinion. And it's your choice. You decide if you want to be a yes man or if you want to be yourself. I decided to be myself, and it will take whatever it's going to take to be who I want to be. As a matter of fact, today, I'm happy. Very happy. I'm happy with my career. I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with my situation in general. I can say I have achieved everything plus of what I wanted to achieve in my life. So if today will be my last day of my life, I will die happy. I don't want to die rich. I want to die happy. I don't want to die with a title. I want to die happy.
Thank you so much, Rocco. It's a great insights you have shared and great things which actually people need to understand. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your expertise with us.
It's been a pleasure, Priyanka. Thank you for the invitation.
And that concludes our podcast episode with Rocco Bova, the hospitality expert. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations on how I got successful, and remember to subscribe. Thank you so much.